Jones, and you are listening to the Three Geeks Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Two Geeks Podcast. It is me and John. We are here by ourselves. The group just dropped like flies. First, Mike said, I can't make it Saturday or this Sunday and next Sunday, which is fine. And then something came up with Max, and then Justin, and Scott's house shopping. And then Dan texted me and said, when he found out it was just three of us, I'm just going to watch Rick and Morty, guys. So you and John can do this Matt Talk style. And that is what we plan to do for everybody.
That's right. It's just going to be a live episode of Matt Talk. That's it.
That's right. That's what I mean. What else can we do?
That's it. That's all we can do. Yeah. we should not scare off the viewers right now because they're all like, "Oh shit, never mind. We don't want to watch." We are not going to do an episode of Matt Talk. We're not, even though.
John?
Okay, maybe we are. Go ahead. Play that sexy tune.
We are running the ship today.
There you go.
I'm just messing with everybody. We've lost half our viewers already. I'm going to stop this now. We are not going to play Matlock all day. If I had more guts, I would Andy Kaufman this thing, and we would just watch Matt Talk or Matlock all day. Me and John reacting to the episodes, which would be great because we really need to get a couple more of these recorded so we could just watch them on the air with everybody else. Then we could just take our notes and get double the work done.
You know what? Let's just plug it real quick and then we're done. I swear on all that is holy, we will not mention it anymore in this episode of the Three Geeks Podcast. But we do have an awesome episode of Matt Talk up and ready to be heard. Linda Pearl, who played the role of Charlene Matlock in the first season. She was so nice a couple weeks ago to sit down and talk to Jason and I, and that is the interview that is up on this episode. Matt Talk, we have a new one dropping next Monday, as we always drop them on the second and fourth Mondays of the month. So, check it out. Anywhere you find podcasts, you can find Matt Talk, or just simply go over to our good friends over at Anchor and just go to anchor.fm/Matt Talk. As you see in the upper corner there, MATTALK. So, what are we going to discuss first, Jason?
We are going to discuss everything, and apparently NBC just blocked the beginning of our video.
What?
That was quick. We're still on. They can't take us off the air. We are still on the air.
Wow, they blocked the Saved by the Bell intro?
Yeah.
Ooh,
yes,
man.
That's rough.
NBC's on it today.
They are. Maybe they should worry about producing some good content first.
Oh,
snap. No, they have some decent stuff. I mean,
sure, they do.
Friends, Seinfeld, I enjoy those. But what do they have?
You were mentioning. Wait a minute. You're mentioning everything in the past.
That's true.
What about the world of Chicago? Chicago PD and Chicago Fire and Chicago Hospital and Chicago Social Worker and Chicago whatever else they have. Garbage collection. I don't know. Seems like there's a Chicago show for every possible industry or job available on NBC.
Yeah, I am excited about one NBC reboot, but since they decided to flag my intro, I will hold off on us reacting to the trailer a little bit more into the show. That way they can mute another section, not so close to the front.
Okay, that works.
Copyright strikes, whatever.
Sure.
They're gonna just take our monetization, and we don't really make money off of the videos on Facebook or YouTube. So,
no, but that's okay. They got to do what they got to do. Are you mad at them? I mean,
no,
they got to do what they got to do.
That's right. I'm gonna do my show the way I want to do my show.
Yeah.
And then when they start to play beefy fish tacos from Taco Bell, I can mute them.
Yeah, there you go. I and Dan own the IP on that particular piece of podcasting goodness, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
And notice, I want to duly note it, even though Dan is watching Rick and Morty, I still offered to give him co-credit for that. You know, I could have been a jerk and been like, "Oh, it's all me." No. That's what a nice guy I am.
Yeah, Rick and Morty, man, that's some good stuff. Do you watch Rick and Morty?
I do not watch Rick and Morty. No, sorry.
I enjoy it. It's not something I seek out, but when it's on and I'm in the room, I enjoy it. But I haven't seen any of the latest season at all.
I'm not. Like I said, I've seen like 2 or 3 episodes, and that's about it. So yeah, that's the only experience I had with Rick and Morty, and not that I hate it, not that I love it. I was kind of like, okay, it's funny. It's got its points, you know. So, but I think we do have to talk about one little bit of local media, if we will, Jason. I know normally we have Mike do the eulogies of things, and I'm not even sure this is really necessary to have a eulogy for this little bit of news, but I got to say, I'm saddened because here it is, November 1st, 2020, and there's no more CD 1025 FM. The decision was made that they're going all digital, but the actual station will not be broadcast across the airwaves. And that kind of sucks, man, because I'm a huge CD 1025 fan. I have been since I moved here, and they were CD 101. Loved the station, loved, all the cool bands that they introduced me to, and some of the ones that I already knew that I liked hearing on the radio. But unfortunately, the FCC, they charge a crap ton of money for their FCC license. And it became apparent that maybe that was not the best way to spend money. So everything's going to be streaming. I think the owner of the station, Randy Malloy, stated that in today's world of technology, you could stream the station on your phone while you're driving to work, or some cars can pull it down, through whatever apps and whatnot. So they're not gone, but I just think it's going to be weird that we're not going to hear them on the regular radio, if you will. What are your thoughts?
See, I haven't listened to regular radio since Howard Stern left regular radio. So
okay.
So I occasionally will tune in when I'm driving and turn on, because we got some old school hip hop stations finally in Columbus. So I listen to those maybe. Usually I just sing to myself in the car.
Yeah. See, for me, here's my car's a 2010. Okay. And it's still in great shape. And, I'm driving that son of a gun till it dies. But it doesn't have all the accoutrements, if you will, for technology. Like, there literally is like a USB port in the dash that is labeled iPod. So you plug in an iPod and it'll work. But if you plug in your phone, it errors out and it won't read the phone. Like, it won't read an iPhone. And you would think, well, it's an iPhone. But so for me, yeah, I still was listening to a lot of regular radio, listening to a lot of CDs, and over the last couple of years, I have a iPad mini, and so what I would do is download podcasts on that, and I bought an auxiliary speaker, so I'll play the podcast like as I'm driving, but it'll be in the passenger seat, so I can kind of hear it. That's what I got to do, because I don't have the plug and play method that modern vehicles have. So, but CD 1025, man, everybody should go listen to them, cd1025.com. And just as a side note, I do cherish this. This is one of my cool mementos of CD 1025. 4 years ago, they went through the same situation where the license was coming up, and I think it was like $2 or $3 million just to get like a 4-year deal. And like, it was like they tried to get like a lifetime license, and it was like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 million, and they tried to raise money and they got enough for 4 years, and but I donated because I love CD 1025, and I'll keep listening. It's just my listening habits are going to be a little bit different, because I'm probably going to listen more here in the office, you know what I mean, for the time being, until maybe I get a new car and then I can stream it and whatnot.
That sucks. But in more tragic news, and unfortunately, I really wish we had Mike here today to do this. We lost a legend in Hollywood. Sean Connery passed away at the age of 90. man, I mean, I don't know what there is to say about Sean Connery that not everybody else is saying right now. Not only was he Bond, but for me, my first experience with Sean Connery was in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I absolutely love that movie. That is my second favorite Indiana Jones movie next to Temple of Doom, but in my opinion, it's the better actual film. And I think the relationship between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford was absolutely amazing. Great.
Yeah, my first experience with him was in, I can't remember what Bond film it was, but James Bond. That's how I was introduced to him. And but I also agree, like I think a close second, Dr. Jones, yes, in Last Crusade, fantastic performance. I mean, the dude's done it all. I will say this as a personal side note. One time my stepfather and my mom went to New York City for a little like vacation, and they happened to be in the same restaurant as Sean Connery. And my mother did not have a very high opinion of him after being in that restaurant because he was a little bit tipsy and he was a little bit loud and a little bit obnoxious and a little bit arrogant. My mom was kind of a little bit put off by that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, okay. So my mom, not a fan anymore, but me, still a fan.
Okay. I just recently watched The Hunt for October as well. And
oh, yeah.
I've never seen that. That was great.
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've never watched it all the way through.
Yeah, but Sean Connery, you will be missed. I'm sorry that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was your final picture, but you left behind a vast legacy that doesn't even matter. So I hope you get to rest in peace now. And he lived a long life. The man lived a long life. He retired on his terms, and yeah, rest in peace. And from all of us at the Geeks Podcast, I know I speak for everybody else. It's tragic. If you guys are watching live, please, in the comments, leave your favorite Sean Connery films or some of your best memories of him, whether it's at award shows or movies. Just let us know. We will read them on air or discuss them. But moving on.
Well, wait. Even if you want to share some memories about CD1025, hell, do that. Throw them in the comments, too. Throw anything in the comments. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Give us some topics. Just two idiots on a microphone. We want to talk to you all day, every day, here in Columbus, Ohio, where I found out Family Ties takes place.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. You know the story behind. You know what the story that I was told about that is that Columbus, Ohio, for many, many years was like where various different like companies and industries and whatnot would always try out products because it was your prototypical Midwestern town. So like if McDonald's had some new dish, they'd try it here in Columbus or whatnot. And that's why the creators of the show kind of picked that as like, oh, it's the Midwestern town. It's the epitome of a Midwestern town. We're going to put that in the setting of the show. So yeah, you didn't know that?
I did not.
Yeah. You know who else is from Columbus, Ohio?
Who's that?
In the fictitious world. If you're a G.I. Joe mark, if you're a G.I. Joe fan like I am, then you'll know Grunt. That's right, the infantry soldier from Columbus, Ohio.
That's awesome. I the other day I'm flipping through YouTube and I stumble across this network of animated shows. Like they've got all of the old 80s, 90s G.I. Joe. Kid and Plays, that wrestling animated series you like so much.
You mean Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling?
Yeah. You can't do this on television. Do you remember you can't do this on television?
I do. I remember it.
They used to come out of the lockers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a show with a mannequin that would come to life. And for years, I thought I made up that show as a kid. Like maybe I dreamt it. It's on there. Like I was shocked to see that show.
I don't know what that show would be.
I will look it up right now. But
okay.
Yeah, no, I was completely. I wish I had the YouTube channel's name to promote it. I will tweet it out later. But definitely awesome to find that.
While you look that up, I think it's time for another hot take from me. Are you ready for a hot take from me?
Sure.
Okay. Well, maybe this is a little lukewarm. Last night, I just really wasn't quite sure what to watch. Because I had watched last night Borat 2, which It's not bad. I think it kind of peters out. It kind of dwindles a little bit towards the end. It just it reaches an apex, and then But overall, it was good. I think the thing that made me the most shocked is it's been 14 years since Borat, the first one, and I'm like, holy cow! I can't believe it's been 14 years. But after that, I decided, well, let's watch another movie here, and watched Lady Bird.
Okay.
If you remember, that got a lot of reviews. I know Mike McG loved Lady Bird, if I remember correctly. I didn't get it. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I'm like, I don't really see what's so great about this movie. I don't know.
It's a slice of life. You get a little
piece. You saw it?
Yeah, I liked it.
You liked it? Okay. I just kind of was like, eh.
Yeah, it's got slice of life films that the Oscars and award shows like, where you literally just get a window into this person's life for so long and then it closes.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. So that's a lukewarm take. It's not a hot take. It's a lukewarm take for me. That
Coming up on a Three Geeks podcast this month, we're going to do top 5 hot takes.
Oh, okay. I think I've shared a few of mine already. So, I mean.
And in the second hour, I kind of buried the lead. We have Mike from the Sonar Network joining us to talk about podcasting and, favorite podcasts, what we all listen to, what got us into podcasting, influences, and so forth. We might tackle that a little bit prior, but that will be where the bulk of that conversation will take place.
Well, let's talk about Quibi, because you wanted to talk about Quibi, and we talked about, unfortunately, various different media outlets having some troubles and whatnot. Quibi, not immune to having some problems. So, Jason, what do you think about them closing up shop?
See, I don't know anybody that has Quibi.
Yeah, I know. Same here. I'm like, who?
I literally just downloaded the app on my phone the day before that it was announced that it was closed, because there's a couple things on there I'm curious about, because I really like Anna Kendrick. She has a show that I want to check out. And there's a remake of The Fugitive on there that I wanted to check out with Kiefer Sutherland in the Tommy Lee Jones role.
Okay.
And yeah, I wanted to watch them. I guess I got 3 weeks before it shuts down, but I wonder now if I can still get a free trial or sign up so I can watch just a few hours worth of programming that I want to see.
They may just go, screw it, give it free. Who cares? We're closing up shop.
Companies will buy them.
You what? What'd you say?
I wonder if other companies will buy the shows.
I don't know. It just seemed to me like it was a bad premise. Like, oh, here's these shows that you can watch in 10-minute clips. I'm like,
That's a YouTube thing, man. That's something that YouTube should jump on, because that's the whole thing is short form content.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't going to be my cup of tea. And I also kind of was like, I know you like Anna Kendrick, but I thought that first of all, I felt like that show she was in was a ripoff of a YouTube show from years ago, which I believe was called like Rob Buys a Sex Doll. Oh, no, it was like Rob Buys a Sex Robot, and it was really, really good. I don't know if it's still on YouTube or not, but it was awesome. And he had some mediocre, like mid-level, like famous names that were on it. It was all about this guy who like talked to his wife, and he was like, if they ever have sex robots, can I get one? And she was like, yeah, whatever. And then it was like 4 years later, and there's like this big giant box at the door, and and lo and behold, they made sex robots. And then it was all the wife and the husband getting like mad, at each other because you said I could have one. She's like, I don't want you to have one. I didn't think they were going to make one. And then, by the way, Rob never actually has sex with the robot. That's the catch. Like everybody else does, not him. I think that was the name of it. But I digress, because the Anna Kendrick show on Quibi kind of looked very similar, and I'm not a fan of Anna Kendrick, so
I am. I love her.
I'm sorry, I'm not. I don't get it.
I don't know why, but I do. I love everything she's in. But she was in something really good recently. I watched it. And I can't remember. Simple Favor. Did you see that?
No, I heard that was really good.
That is really good. Really good.
Okay.
It's directed by the Feig. Paul Feig.
Oh. Okay.
It does not feel like a Paul Feig movie at all. Yeah, no, it's really good. I think it won Best Adapted Screenplay. I read the book too, and they're pretty much the same. So you can watch the movie without having to read the book. The endings where they kind of divvy, and the ending in the movie I think is better.
Cool.
That's a hot take, maybe. I keep getting
Well,
alerts that we got Facebook. Like everybody in our Facebook chat for Three Geeks is suddenly like, none of them are available to do the cast with us, but they are all available to let me know that we got that NBC strike. But we're still live.
That's right.
So can't take us down.
Right.
Worst case scenario,
No.
the video at the end is taken off. I'll just re-edit it and put it up. No
We'll
harm,
fight
no
you,
foul.
NBC. We will fight you. Unless you write us a check. Then we won't.
We will not fight you, NBC. You've given me a lot of good entertainment over the years. Speaking of NBC and entertainment they have given me, and this kind of goes into our future conversation, but before we met Steve, our mutual friend, we had a lot of cool things that would happen on the podcast, but they wouldn't be as consistent. Like, I got to go to Saudi Arabia. We had Thomas Nicholas became a friend of the show, and we've met in celebrities. I was slowly getting into the rhythm of getting in touch with agents and so forth. Then we met Steve Joyner, and if you guys are looking for a publicist, hit me up. I'll send you guys his information. He is a great guy. Thanks working on the podcast. I highly recommend you reach out to him. But thanks to Steve, I can honestly say that I have a friend in Larry Hankin. This guy from Friends is somebody that I have been a fan of since I was young. He was on Home Improvement. He showed up as a creepy guy that all the kids were afraid of because he thinks that, he used to live there and they killed his family or something. I don't remember. And but
he was in Breaking Bad. He's been in literally you name a TV show. He's been on an episode.
I am blessed to have Larry's phone number. So after he sent me an autographed photo, I gave him a call yesterday. And even the phone conversations with this man are just like his characters on the shows. Like Larry, it's like, what kind of life am I living now that I could say I'm friends with Larry Hankin?
Yeah, Larry's a great dude. He's funny. He's witty. He's awesome. There's no two ways about it. He's a great dude, and I also appreciate talking to him too.
We were talking to Larry the other day, and I was like, we're trying to come up with a new way for him to come on the show instead of us just interviewing him. And in a few weeks, probably closer to next month, but Larry Hankin is going to come on and interview us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
He's going to be the interviewee or the interviewer, and we're going to be the interviewees with Larry Hankin. Should be a lot of fun. I'm very excited about it.
That should be. That's cool. Hey, the other thing, real quick, speaking of celebrities, I stumbled across this. A friend of mine sent it. So shall we dive into it? Now, we're going to be just a little bit political, folks. So but we're going to try to call it down the middle, okay? There's a Vanity Fair article that struck my eye when my buddy sent it to me. It is entitled, the article's called, "I'm sorry, how much money did the government spend to find out Guy Fieri was overcommitted?" So apparently the government spent $300 million creating some type of master spreadsheet to figure out the political leanings of various different Hollywood stars. Okay. For an example, apparently, according to Vanity Fair, Adam Levine, quote, supported Obama in the fight for gay rights, end quote. That's on this spreadsheet. Juliana Moore, quote, gun control advocate, end quote. Robert Downey Jr., quote, not a Trump supporter. Army Hammer, there's no notes apparently on the spreadsheet other than he was arrested in 2011 for marijuana possession. So, but the funniest part, the kicker is that apparently when it came to Guy Fieri, the only note is, quote, overcommitted. So I don't know about you, Jason, but don't you think it's pretty easy to figure out what Hollywood stars are, I don't know, overcommitted or not, just by, I don't know, paying attention to what they are doing? You don't need to spend $300 million to figure that out, right?
Right.
You just go to the internet and go, what projects is Guy Fieri doing? Oh, what do you know? He's hosting 3 shows. He's got a restaurant, or multiple restaurants. Simple. You didn't need to spend a dime. Just use Google.
And meanwhile, we got Randy Quaid just running all over the place.
Well,
just hijacking Twitter.
Yeah, well, and apparently his brother was also on that list, according to the Vanity Fair article. But he was more of a supporter of more Republican, I guess, platforms and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. Like, look, I think you would agree with me. If we could just get an eighth of $300 million, an eighth, I don't even know what that would be, right? But I'm thinking an eighth is a very small fraction, right? Right?
Yeah.
An eighth of $300 million. Do you know how life-changing that would be? Are you doing the math right now? Because no. Okay, I thought you were doing the math. No, tell me, what is an eighth of $300 million? Because I don't even know. I just anticipate that it would probably be enough money that would change my life and your life forever.
Well, thanks to daylight savings time, I've been up since 4 a.m. So math is not something that I'm excited about. I usually wake up at 5. I woke up at 4 today, and I'm like, oh, what is happening? And then I remembered what happened, and then I managed to go back to sleep for an hour and wake up at the real 5.
That's okay. I looked at the alarm clock and was like, oh, no, wait, no, never mind. It's not that time. Look at your phone. So anyways, well, there's my rant about wasting government money. Or the government wasting money, on stupid things like a spreadsheet just to figure out who likes a political candidate, who doesn't like a political candidate.
Twitter. Everybody's up there yelling and shouting. You can find out everything you need to know on Twitter.
Yeah. So did you vote already or no?
No, I'm doing that on Tuesday.
Okay.
We're going to do a 3 Geeks political thing on the 3rd, but actually it's not. It's going to be an Election Day special live, 3 Geeks podcast, no politics.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe maybe a 0.01% politics because it might come out, but we are going to lean into the geek more so than we do normally. We're just going to be the most absolutely geeky, nerdy people you could possibly be in a short show because none of this stuff is worth fighting over. Like the way people are, carrying on with each other, it's just disgusting to me on both sides.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
It just needs to calm down. So we're going to offer some counter programming on that day. See who tunes in, wants to get, silly and look at, we got a first still from Jurassic World 3 right there. That's the kind of stuff you can expect from our political. I don't know about you, John, but the budget has gone way down.
Yeah, well, you know what? It is a metaphor for how things are going in the country right now.
Something like that. I don't even know what to say to that.
I did vote. I voted via mail-in ballot. So, and I was one of the ones because I'll be honest, as soon as I got the ballot, I filled it out and mailed it back. And then like that afternoon, it was like there are 50,000 ballots in Franklin County that are not. And I'm like, gosh, shit. All right. And lo and behold, I got the letter that I did have a bad ballot, so I re-voted, so to speak. Look, I think that. My own personal opinion is you can't complain about things if you don't vote.
You can't. No. There has got to be, and sorry, we're going to do this a little bit, but I'm going to not choose sides. I'm going to do this the best I can. There has to be a coming together in this country, or this is going to get worse.
Oh, yeah.
We need to work together. Like I was telling my mom, and we are not on the same side as far as who we want to vote for. But, we can talk civilly because that's what you're supposed to do. And I told my mom, I said, it doesn't matter. If one party doesn't win at all, nothing's going to get done. They're just going to fight and scream and holler because nobody's interested in working together again. And we need to get back to that. But that's
Agreed. Agreed. Totally agreed. And I think we as people, as citizens, need to start putting more and more pressure on political parties to give us good candidates to vote for, because we haven't had good candidates to vote for in a few years, and that's why we're in the situation we're in.
Yep.
Hands down.
But anyway, let's get back to being banned from NBC, guys.
I was going to say, are we going to talk about Saved by the Bell, the reboot?
Oh, we are.
Okay.
I am the one person in America right now that is, forget Election Day. I am looking forward to the day before Thanksgiving when I get to enjoy this masterpiece.
Yo, Mama. Sorry, Dr. Mama.
How do you think this year's going to go for these new students?
I'm psyched.
You're excited for the first day of school?
Why is everybody so rich?
Are you ready for my party Saturday night?
Did you watch Saved by the Bell, John?
Baby to make
I didn't. I watched it here and there. I never really was an avid fan of it.
In attendance will be the governor of California.
Matt's dad?
You look amazing and your hair's fire. My dad's also coming.
I don't care about your dad, Spencer. I just care about Zach and Kelly.
We all want these new kids to feel welcome.
Can we talk?
Did you just sit backwards in a chair? Wow, never seen anyone do that in my life.
It's not going to work unless we get to know them.
You only know how Bayside works for kids like you.
Hot kids, privileged kids.
Bayside?
So you were excited for this.
This place is magic.
My question is why?
I'll explain it after.
Hey, Max,
Okay.
cheese on mine. Take a look in your pocket. Does this place ever stop being weird?
A 1, 2, 3. The old gang back together again.
It's because I think because it leans into the ridiculousness.
Will you go to dinner with me?
Stop eavesdropping.
We're not. We're the Bayside acapella group.
Ah, Bayside.
You're the man, Coach. When I grow up, I want to be just like you. A single childless adult who parties with kids.
Okay, so
Okay.
reason I'm excited about this is one, I love this show growing up, so there's nostalgia there. I even
Okay.
watched college years. I love the college years just as much as I like the original show. And one thing Saved by the Bell did in the original was it winked at the audience a lot. And I feel like this reboot is going to be more of the same. Like it's going to be kind of a spoof on what they used to do, which you saw in that trailer a little bit at the end, you know, when they're making fun of Slater for hanging out with kids like Mr. Belding used to do in Saved by the Bell, which was I've gone back and binged Saved by the Bell as an adult, and none of that stuff would fly in real life. There's
No
way a principal could hang out and have a slumber party with his children. that would not work. That is not good. It's frowned upon at the minimum.
At a minimum.
But it looks like
I-
the same.
Yeah, like I said, I never really got into it. I watched episodes here and there. I will confess, I never when I did watch it, I really didn't connect with any of the kids because, like, obviously the four main characters, not Screech, but you know, Jesse and Slater and Zach and Kelly. I just like to them. This is gonna sound awful. They were the kids I disliked in high school, so I didn't really like want to watch more of that. You know what I mean? And the Screech kid was also like, there was no middle ground. See, here we go. We're kind of bringing it back to politics. You're on two edges, like the cast was on two ends of the spectrum. There's no one in the middle where, like, I felt like if there's a character that was more like me.
Screech was me.
See,
I was the nerdy kid trying to fit in.
Yeah, to me, I wasn't the nerdy kid, but I felt like, there was just, I don't know. That's why I didn't dig it, I don't think, because I didn't really dig the main four, because I was like, yeah, those are the same jerkwads are giving me a hassle at high school right now.
Dude, what's funny is watching that trailer is I think your voice is going to be heard in that show because you've got the new kids in the school kind of saying all of the things that you're saying right now.
Yeah, maybe. But I will say this: I always did find Lark Voorhees to be a very stunning young lady.
She's back.
Yeah, that's good.
After that trailer came out, people were in an uproar. She wasn't in the trailer, so they leaked a photo of her saying, "Don't worry, Lisa Turtle's back." The only one not coming back is Dustin Diamond because he's got some problems that he is working on right now.
Yeah, he's got a few issues to work out, if you will. So, I mean, what else is on Peacock, by the way, besides that? I don't know any other.
Bud? Peacock. They just got one of my favorite shows that nobody is watching. Stephen King's Mr. Mercedes. That first season is incredible. It was on AT&T DirecTV's network for a while, but Peacock got it, and they got a third season they're working on now. But I haven't seen season 2. Now that it's on Peacock, I'm going to watch it because I don't have DirecTV. I signed up for a free trial to watch the first season. They wouldn't let me have another one. So,
Okay.
yeah, the first season is incredible.
Okay. What else? Anything else noteworthy on Peacock? I know WWE has a bunch of things that they're sending that way too, like a lot of their documentary shows.
It's got a nice classic film library.
Ooh,
like it's got
okay.
like the Universal monsters are all on there.
Ooh, okay.
And then some Abbott and Costello movies, which is how I got myself into Abbott and Costello, was finding it on Peacock. Because I'm the only one person that I know that has Peacock too. I've heard it's doing really well. I've heard that they've had millions of subscribers. So
I mean, I just got it for Roku because remember, I think we talked about this months ago that it was not on Roku because they were still hammering out a deal. So I just got it, and I haven't even downloaded it yet. So,
Mr. Mercedes is not classic Stephen King. It's not really a horror series. It's more of a cop drama.
Okay.
Like the show The Outsider that just came out, that is related to this series. So, Mr. Mercedes, the first book is a cop series story, and it slowly goes into the supernatural over the 3 books, now 4, actually now 5 in the series. But now that first season and the first book is a really good cop story.
Okay, cool.
It's not like, I'm a fan of James Pattinson, but it's not like James Pattinson, James Pattinson is a child's book compared to Stephen King writing this kind of a story. So I recommend it. And the actors on the show are great. Brendan Gleeson, I believe, plays the lead.
Oh, okay. That's a big name. Okay. Cool.
So, yeah, if you guys have Peacock, don't have Peacock, get a free trial. I don't even care if you watch Saved by the Bell, because I'm going to tell you this right now. If you didn't like it before, I don't think this Saved by the Bell reboot is going to get any new fans. Maybe some younger people, but not the people my age. It's going to be the people that watched it growing up that are curious.
Mm-hmm.
And that show could go completely wrong, but watch Mr. Mercedes. I can vouch for the first season. It is incredible, and it stands on its own if you just want to watch the first season before it gets into the more supernatural and weird.
So speaking of other TV shows, have you started The Mandalorian season 2?
Yeah, I started it today. I'm glad you asked because Timothy Olyphant was in it.
Oh man, I love Timothy Olyphant. I mean,
I'm going to avoid spoilers, but the mystery of season 2 looks like this is going to be a mild spoiler for The Mandalorian. It's in the trailers, so I'm not really giving anything away. But there are Boba Fett hints in this first season. So I think that's going to be kind of the mystery of this series is Boba Fett and Yoda. The child, it's not Yoda, I gotta remember that. The child, I'm on a nerdy podcast, I can't call it Baby Yoda. The child is incredibly cute in this first episode.
Oh, good.
Great.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm just gonna wait for another week or so and let him drop a couple of episodes like I like to binge. So I'm looking forward to that. Funny you mentioned about Timothy Olyphant. I think I've shared a couple weeks ago, I started watching Deadwood. Because I've heard so many great things about Deadwood. Oh, it's really good. It's gritty. It's it's a Western, blah, 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 blah. I have 3 more episodes to finish season 1. And I got to say, it started off really good. And I like Timothy Olyphant. I really do. Justified is one of my favorite television shows of all time. It starts off great, but like these middle episodes just don't go anywhere. And I'm like, this is supposed to be like a pinnacle HBO show that everybody raves about. And it just kind of like, I'm muddling through these last few episodes where nothing happens. And I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest.
I have not seen Deadwood. I've heard a lot of good things about it as well. But to be honest with you, this is going to be something I don't think I've said on here. I've never seen a Western. Closest thing to a Western I've seen is Firefly in The Mandalorian.
Really?
Yeah, I did go out and buy for a few dollars this week, so I plan on watching that today after the podcast. But I that's a whole genre of movie that I'm not really familiar with, but I'm going to fix that error very, very soon.
Okay, I too, I've seen quite a few Westerns, but I'm not like big time into the genre.
I take that back. I've seen Back to the Future 3.
Did you see Wild Wild West?
I did.
That's a Western.
Sorry, I forgot about that movie.
I'll use that term loosely. You've never seen the True Grit, like the original with John Wayne, and then the remake with the Coen Brothers?
No, and I don't know why. I want to see them.
Oh man, you need to watch both of them because they both have really, really good parts about them. I feel like between the two, they should have switched the endings around, and it would have made for a perfect movie. But True Grit, The Wild Bunch, you got to see The Wild Bunch. That's a great one.
I've never seen a John Wayne movie that I know of.
I've
never seen Dirty Harry. So my pre-90s Clint Eastwood is not as strong as it should be as a movie fan.
Wow. Two Mules for Sister Sarah is a favorite of mine. I shared the Cheyenne Social Club is fantastic. I mean, Jimmy Stewart, Henry Fonda, Shirley Jones. It's got quite a bit of comedy thrown in there, but it works really, really well. Yeah, man, you got to get on it, man. There's some great Westerns out there.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I, again, have every intention of fixing that problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never seen Abbott and Costello in some of those old comedies. Like Chaplin was introduced. I introduced myself to that just the end of last year. So I'm catching up to the past.
What about Unforgiven? You never saw Unforgiven? That's a good one too. It's a good one.
That's got
now here's a couple that I've never seen Westerns that I feel like I should. I've never seen High Plains Drifter. I've never seen either of the Young Guns movies. Never seen those. Tombstone I've never seen. So
wow.
there are some Westerns even I have glossed over and haven't gotten a chance to watch. But yeah, you definitely need to check out Cheyenne Social Club, Wild Bunch. Wild Bunch is really, really good.
Yeah,
I mean, it was the Sam Peckinpah movie that really kind of was very controversial when it came out.
Yeah, I've got Bruce Lee, Clint Eastwood, and John Wayne on my radar to check out because, again, Bruce Lee's another one I haven't seen any of his movies.
I've just seen Enter the Dragon is pretty much the other one. No, Enter the Dragon. There's another one that I watched on Tubi recently. Fist of Fury. Yes,
they have like all 27 Fist of Fury movies on Tubi.
Yeah, they do. I love Tubi. I can't put them over enough.
They got all the kickboxer movies too. I'm very excited.
They do.
I love them all.
Yeah. Who has Train to Busan 2, by the way? Is that
on Vudu?
Is it on Vudu? Okay. All right. Because I thought I read somewhere where it might go to Shudder first.
I don't know. I mean, okay. I can check. I have Shudder. I'll check later. Let you know.
Okay, but it is definitely on Vudu.
Yeah.
Because I really liked the first one, and I was looking forward to the second one. I'm glad it's finally out.
So did you binge any movies last night for Halloween?
No, I watched Borat 2 and then Lady Bird. That was it.
Wow, you really just live life on the edge.
I
watched Happy Death Day 1 and Happy Death Day 2 back to back. Freaking love those movies. The first one is great. It's a great horror like remake of the Groundhog's Day. But the second one is like just so insane that it's hilarious. I love it. And I didn't realize that they both have really good high ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, and they absolutely should, because it was a good. I'd seen them all before, but it was a good use of 4 hours of my life yesterday. I started two. They start like right after the other.
Okay, all right. Yeah, actually, my Halloween was pretty lame, man. I mean, not much went on. I mean, it was pretty. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there wasn't that many people out and about in my neighborhood because I'm sure that, COVID and whatnot. And, it is what it is.
Yeah, the second Happy Death Day has a time paradox and dimensions. And, oh, my God, it's so good. So good. It's the Back to the Future of horror movies.
I was just going to say, so it's the Back to the Future. Cue Brian Lyle's rant about time travel.
There's no time travel.
Oh, okay.
No,
what's the difference between time travel and time paradox?
Like dimension paradox. Because the day is looping. Just like the Groundhog's Day. So I guess technically it's time travel, but you have to die before it to kick in.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Happy Death Day 1 and 2. They are both 2.8 out of 3 geeks for me. Love them. I might finish. I didn't finish 2, but I'm gonna finish it as soon as I'm done with this podcast.
Well, I mean, due to COVID, both of the Halloween parties I usually go to were canceled this year. I mean, and understandable. I'm not mad at that at all. In fact, probably opt to. The way that here in Ohio things are, just absolutely awful. I mean, for those folks that are listening out of state, we have 88 counties in Ohio, and 86 out of the 88 are in like the orange or red, almost purple rating scale. Which of course, orange and red are kind of like, it's not too safe. Purple is the, oh my God, holy shit, everybody, run for your lives. So, we're not in a good spot right now in the OHIO.
Are the Buckeyes winning?
The Buckeyes are winning.
If anybody wants to know if the world is coming closer to ending than it did last year, the Browns are doing really well in football. That should tell you everything you need to know.
You know what? I have a healthy respect for the Browns because you know why? They're like, no matter how well they do or how poorly they do, their fans are loyal, and I respect that. It's like the Hartford Whalers of hockey, man. Whether they had a great team or the Whale was awful, they sold out the Hartford Civic Center, man.
I guess that's true. I mean, I'm a Dolphins fan, so what can I judge anybody for being a fan of anything?
What? How are the Dolphins doing this year? I don't even know.
I have no idea. I don't watch sports. I'm a Dolphins fan because Dan Marino was in Ace Ventura 1. That is an honest reason why I follow them. I did watch football when I was younger, but sports to me, it's just they're not entertaining. I'd rather watch a movie.
Oh, see, okay. See, I like football. Obviously I'm a hockey nerd, so I love hockey, and we're in the doldrums right now in between the seasons. And who knows if there's going to be another season. I don't know. There's lots of conjecture going on about whether the NHL will have a season or how it's going to look or what they're going to do, yada, yada, yada. Because, with Canadian teams and they've shut down the border and they're not looking to open it up anytime soon, how do those teams play, against American teams, et cetera, et cetera. So
I've fallen asleep at the Columbus Crew Stadium.
What?
I did. I was tired.
Jesus. You obviously weren't in the Nordeck section.
I was one of 12 people in the stands. This was like a while ago. This is not like any consolation to who they are now or what they are now. But yeah, back in the day when there was like hardly anyone there, I slept.
At Moffray, or was it at OSU Stadium?
I don't remember.
Because I went to a game in Montreal. I went to the game in Montreal. I went to the game because they played like their first season that season of '96. They played at OSU Stadium. I went to one of those.
Nice.
Because that was where I was introduced to the awesome player Stern John, and I'm like, that guy's awesome. His name is Stern, and his last name is John. Stern John. That's awesome. So.
Yay. So, I'm excited for our guest that'll be coming up on after the break. I'm currently trying to decide what I want to show for the break. But, John, so that show that I was talking about the mannequin, it was called Today's Special.
Today's Special? And it was a cartoon?
No, it wasn't a cartoon. But don't you worry, John. Don't you worry. I have a trailer queued up so we could check this out together.
All right, let's do it. Let's check it out.
Our audience got the gist, but
it lasted 7 seasons. I just looked this up.
Yeah, I watched that on PBS. I watched Mr. Rogers on PBS. I watched Ghost Rider on PBS. I was probably older than I should have been, but yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Michael, who's going to be our guest soon, says this was a staple in Canadian kids programming when he was growing up. And we will chat about this after the break, Michael. Absolutely. I am 100% down for that.
All right. I'm going to let you two. That's your wheelhouse. I've never seen this show before in my life.
I don't remember anything except for that opening. Like, I what the show was about. I'm thinking about resurrecting my Throwback Thursday podcast where I, review older stuff. I'm thinking about resurrecting it because of this channel, man. It's got Happy Days, or it's got Fonzie and the Happy Days gang as one of the animated shows. No Gilligan's Planet, though. If they had Gilligan's Planet, the deal would be done, because I've never seen Gilligan's Planet.
How about the Star Trek cartoon? Is it in there?
It's not, because it's more ones that have never been released.
Oh, okay. So Star Trek's been released on DVD. So okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got Rainbow Bright, which I used to watch.
Rainbow Bright's not been released on DVD. I gotta believe that would have been.
Huh?
I thought it would have been already released on DVD.
Apparently not. So it's called the channel that I'm referring you guys to. I will put it in the comment section, but it's P.H.E. space television network.
Okay.
That is the name of the YouTube channel, and I'm telling you guys, this thing is amazing. Here, let me pull it up real quick on the screen so you guys can kind of see some of this amazing programming that this YouTube channel has to offer. But see, they got the Kid and Play, Droids,
Mask.
What? Yeah, Mask.
They got Mask. Oh my god, nice.
Like, look at this, man. Killer Tomatoes, who we just interviewed John DeBello from. Yeah, this thing is
Captain
amazing.
Power. I remember Captain Power.
Yeah, the Nintendo Gang Show. It's another show I thought I made up.
They have droids?
Yeah, John. Like, here we go. This is going to be better. He-Man from 2002.
Okay.
The Robocop animated series. Rambo is on here as well.
Rambo and the Freedom Fighters? Yes.
I'm telling you, the first sliming of Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards. Like, who doesn't want to see that? This is an 80. If you love Saturday morning cartoons, and to anybody that's watching us that might be younger than 30, Saturday morning cartoons were they would put anything on as a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, any movie was turned into a cartoon. I was a big fan of the Addams Family animated show. We should do this one day. Top 5.
Danger Mouse. I remember Danger Mouse. Yeah. Wow, dude. Heathcliff? Nice.
Yeah. Count Duckula. I remember watching Count Duckula. I guess they do have some stuff that's out because there's Pee-wee's Playhouse and Gadget. Inspector Gadget's so good.
Bobby's World. I remember Bobby's World. Ewoks. Yes. Dude, this is baller. This is baller. Man, oh man. Mask. By the way, real quickly, I'm going to throw it out there. As a kid, my worst Halloween costume ever was Mask. I went as a Mask guy, which meant basically I wore black shirt, black pants, black fingerless leather gloves, that were popular in the 80s. And I made like my own like mask out of like a box. So I just put a box on my head and it was all black too with like, it was really shitty. I'm just going to say. It didn't hold up well.
I don't know what to play for the break. I guess we'll take a short one today, and I'll just show the commercials. We don't need to watch a clip.
All right, so we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
About 3 minutes.
All right, then we're going to talk.
Break. We got Michael joining us from the Sonar Network. Everybody, enjoy this quick commercial break.
Hey everybody, it's John Orlando from the PVD Cast. Are you wondering where you can find my podcast? Well, it's real simple. Just go over to pvdcast.com, the online home of yours truly, or it's available through all of those major podcasting platforms. Just search for it in Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, iHeartRadio app, and don't forget that every single Monday night at 8 o'clock, I do a live broadcast of the week's episode of the PVD Cast through the Facebook page. Just go over to facebook.com and search for @PVDcast and join me every Monday night at 8 p.m. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get on out of here. So I'll chat at each and every one of you later.
Hi, I'm Casper.
And I'm Becky Gremlin.
And we're the hosts of Don't Fuck With The Original.
We are a spoopy horror podcast that pretty much covers everything under the genre.
We cover haunted locations, we cover true crime, cryptids, movies, anything you can literally think of. We are all over it.
Everything spoopy.
On Wednesdays, and why?
Wednesdays are for podcast. Thanks, guys.
Jason, what's wrong, man? You seem to be a little bit down in the dumps.
I've just been searching the internet all day trying to find a podcast dedicated to Matlock, and I can't seem to find it.
What? Funny you mentioned that. I know of a podcast called Matt Talk, and it takes a look at every single episode of that beloved series and critiques it and reviews it, discusses it, even sometimes pokes fun at it. Wait a minute. We're the hosts of that.
That's right.
Yes, of course. Why? I don't understand why you forgot that. But nonetheless, folks, you can check out Matt Talk. We have a great Facebook page. It's at Matt Talk Podcast. You could get the episodes wherever you find podcast episodes. And we make it easy on you, don't we, Jason? Sometimes we just put the link for Anchor right there in the description of each announcement when an episode comes out. And all you got to do is click and listen. And Jason, where can folks get in touch with us if they want to comment, say on this silly commercial or on any episode of Matt Talk?
All you need to do is go to benmatttalk@gmail.com. You can drop us a line on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. Twitter account coming soon. Get in contact with us.
There you go. And right now we have 8 episodes in the can. We got plenty more coming up. So check it out. We love Matlock. We certainly do. And so with that, we'll see you in the courtroom. Well, not literally, figuratively.
Bonjour tout le monde. It's Jesse Camacho, and you're listening to the Three Geeks Podcast.
We're back. We're joined by Michael from the Sonar Network. How you doing, Michael?
Hello.
Welcome to
Hey, how's it going, Michael?
Doing?
We are doing great.
Really?
You know,
I got some questions.
Oh, I'm just surprised you're doing so well considering the whole world is on fire.
Well,
so far my house is pretty good. I should have talked about that, John. But anyway, before we get to learn more about Michael, so John, last week on Three Geeks, they were ripping us for that Matt Talk commercial. I think we should re-record it. We probably do need to, because it is pretty garbage. Let's be honest, it is. Cheese, and I mean, there's all the cheeses.
Mm-hmm.
But Michael, tell us about yourself. You used to be a podcaster. Now you're in charge of a podcasting network.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I've been podcasting a long time, and I guess you could still say I'm a podcaster in my heart. But my podcast has kind of come to a very slow fade away situation, and just because I've kind of moved into focusing on running the network and everything. As the network was growing, it needed a lot more of my time and attention. So the podcast we still kind of record here and there, but it's definitely not a regular show, which I miss. I miss the creative side and doing, having fun with your friends. But I really love just the network and watching it grow and helping to build a platform for podcasters to share their stories or whatever.
So, I completely agree with you, because I've picked up a lot more. I've been taking on more responsibility with the podcast, trying to do social media, which social media on its own is a full-time job, plus arranging guests to come on and, running. I'm doing 4 or 5 interviews a week. Plus,
that's all you? You do all that?
Yeah, pretty much.
What about all the other guys? There's 5 guys on this show.
There are. They're the talent. Okay. I'm the one with the organization and I guess you could say business sense that
there needs to be someone like that on a show for sure. Yeah. So they're lucky to have you. Make sure they know that.
They do. I think they do.
How many shows do you have on the Sonar Network?
I think we launched our 30th show yesterday.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It was oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, do they range in topics from comedy to sports to everything, or do you have a particular genre that you kind of stick to?
Yeah, we have kind of a vision or a tone that we stick to. Like when we started the network, it was it was 3 years ago, I think. So it's relatively new. but we started. It was just like 6 shows in the kind of comedy community here in Toronto, in Canada. So my show and then 5 other shows, and so it was kind of born out of the comedy scene here. And as we grew, that's the community that we knew and that we were familiar with. So as we grew, it kind of emerged as like kind of the general tone of the network. So that's always something we're looking for, is like, we have a sports show, but it's hosted by comedians. It's a basketball show, but it's also very funny. We have other shows, but they all kind of have that kind of comedic edge to it in some way. And that's kind of our niche, I guess.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know what that's like running 29 shows, because I can barely do this shows that I do on here, like 4 shows.
Yeah,
Even
it's
I'm not involved with I'll take a lot of work.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, and I have help too. Definitely, it's not just me. There's other people that work as well here, that work with us and help to like support these shows. And also the shows are, a lot of them are very independent too. So we obviously help everyone with, as far as like in a lot of areas, like ads and social media and that kind of thing. But they're also and we will help with production stuff too if needed. But a lot of the shows are independent and don't need us for a lot. So yeah, it does definitely, that saves us some headaches.
I do want to clarify something I said earlier. Justin and Dan do help me a lot, but a lot of the back and forth with like the publicist and other people, that's solely handled by me, and that's a lot of work because you're juggling schedules, and then you got to talk to the people after working a 13-hour day at your daytime job.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a lot of work, and people don't understand that. A lot of times people think that they hear a podcast and they're like, oh, it's like just friends hanging out and talking. That's easy. But it's like, that is part of it. But then there's also scheduling and recording and editing and social media and like coordinating with like guests and organizing schedules. And it's, to record one episode is, the hour that you spend laughing with your friends is just a small piece of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, I mean, when we first started, we literally just did that. We recorded, laughed with our friends, and then put it on the internet. And eventually, if you want to grow, you have to take on the beast that is social media. I was telling Justin yesterday, I'm like, man, we really should be posting once an hour. And I said, I don't know how to physically make that happen without just doing nothing but sitting in front of my computer and sending out posts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm famously bad at social media. I'm an old guy. I'm an old man. I'm trying to understand it, but it's just not for me. And it was definitely at a certain point, it was like, we can't really grow and get taken seriously if we don't have a very active and good social media. And like, God bless Mariana, who came on board, and she started doing the social media and now is basically, running the whole thing with me. She's great. And, it's taken 2 of us, at least 2 of us to do all the work we need to do. But yeah, you need someone doing social media that knows what they're doing. And that's definitely not me. So just knowing, it's good to know what I can't do and to find someone that can.
I asked my daughter, my 12-year-old
That's smart.
daughter, whenever I need a question answered about social media, because she's got like 20,000 followers, and I'm sitting here with my happy 5,100.
Your daughter has 20,000 followers? You should get her to post about your show every once in a while.
Yeah, what
take
are you
advantage of that.
doing?
You pay for you give her food. The only reason she's alive is because of you. The least she could do is throw you a post here and there.
I like your thinking. That's a good idea. We should do that. But yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about, what it takes to get into podcasting. We're going to discuss some of our favorite podcasts and just podcasting in general. So for me, I was a huge Stern fan. I really liked classic radio, and I think I learned the right lesson from Stern. Like all the people that came after him that tried to copy him always went for the shock. But the thing that I always pulled from that show was the camaraderie. Like it takes your group of friends or the group that you have with you on the show to make the show good. Not necessarily the shock stuff, but it's just the camaraderie, the being able to talk to your friends and just discuss stuff and really get personal. And that's kind of what I've learned from that. And, you know, throughout the days I've discovered podcasting, and initially I wanted to start a political podcast, but then I realized I don't like politics. So then, you know, I waited a while, and then I went to a Comic-Con with Max, who's my co-host now, and our friend Amit, who has only been on the podcast a few times. And the three of us went. We were sitting down at a table eating dinner, and we just had this awesome conversation. I think it was about Smallville. And I'm like, see, guys, this is the kind of conversations we could be recording, and people might actually enjoy listening to us. Sure enough, we found out, you know, we got a pretty good following. But what was your first start with podcasting? Like, what drove you, Michael and John, to want to do it?
Yeah, it's similar to yours. So, I mean, definitely I listened to Stern. Here in Canada, he was like, they broadcast him on sort of classic rock station here in the mornings. And then there was another morning show, a Canadian morning show out of Toronto that I listened to on my drive to work. And I remember like driving every day. And this is like 2000. This is like the early days of podcasting before it was anything, right? Before it was just like a handful of like tech nerds that like figured out how to do it. And I was listening to radio every day, and I was like getting so frustrated because I love the talk part, but it was so limited. It was like they'd talk for like 5 to 7 minutes, and then they'd play a song, and then there'd be like interminable commercials. And it was just like, and I just remember getting to the office one day and being like, I heard about this podcast thing. Like maybe that's more like radio, talk radio, but without all the bullshit. Can I swear?
Yeah. Sure.
Oh, great.
Michael, I've already swore like 4 times already for this episode.
Is the cleanest
okay, perfect.
Done, and it has not been clean, so
yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah, great. So yeah, without all that extra bullshit that I was just like, it was just I was sitting in traffic, waiting for, you know, the commercials to end, the endless like commercials for cars and like banks and stuff, and like yeah, and then I just found podcasts. I remember that day at work, I like found it. And I found a show, there's a podcast like list online at that time. I think it was called the Podcast Pickle or something. And it was like the top podcasts, and there was like a ranking thing. And I just kind of started listening to a few comedy shows, and I was just like, yeah, then it was honestly, that was the moment. If you look at my phone right now, because at that time I had an iPod, and you know, your music library just transfers from iPod to iPod to your phone. If you look at my iPhone right now, it's like music locked in time at 2005, because that's when I discovered podcasts and was like, I don't need to why am I listening to music when I can listen to podcasts? So I immediately like connected to it in a big way.
Yeah, I like the honest conversation. AMC Movie Talk is something that I used to listen to a lot, and that introduced me to the Schmoes Know Show, which is going to be on my list of favorite podcasts ever. And listening to them, they really captured the same lessons I had learned from Stern, and bringing in the geeky culture. And I'm like, I don't want to copy them, but that's the kind of podcast I want to do. I want to have honest conversations about the stuff that interests me and my friends. And so what about you, John? What pulled you into a podcast about and then eventually to the world famous Matt Talk?
Well, is the story that I've told before. So I'm still involved in independent pro wrestling in Ohio. But in 2002, I started being the ring announcer for a company, and then I bounced around. And for a while, not only was I the ring announcer, but I also was the booker, or part one of the bookers. There was multiple. There were 3 of us that would kind of create the shows and the matches and everything. And for me, that gave me a lot of creative like outlet. Like I really enjoyed doing that. But eventually, you know, that kind of ran its course. And then by that time, you know, there had been Between the Ropes Radio, which was more of like an internet radio show rather than a podcast. And then right around that time, you know, like Colt Cabanas wrestling podcasts started
That's huge.
hitting. Yeah, it started out, and I was like, well, I'm liking what I hear. And so I just decided one day, you know what? I need an outlet. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I swear to God, everybody thinks this is a joke, but I swear on December 12th of 2012, I launched the PVD cast. And everybody's like, so you did that on purpose, 12, 12, 12. I'm like, actually, no, I didn't even realize it until like January. I'm like, oh, shit, I actually started this on 12, 12, 12. And I'm DIY. I had no idea what I was doing. You know.
And that's the cool thing about podcasting is, I mean, now it's become more of a career for a lot of people, but like in that time and in the like that new period, it was like everyone, it was trial by fire. It was the Wild West. Everyone was doing everything and trying things and throwing everything out there to see what works and what people were responding to. It has a really cool period to be a part of now that it's kind of calmed down into like the kind of industry that it is now.
Yeah. So, I mean, and when I started it, I made the decision that I was going to talk about things that I'm passionate about and have people on to talk about those passions with me, whether it's wrestling or movies or hockey or comic books, because those are like my 4 main things. And just started off those first, as I'm sure, Michael, you can attest, and I know Jason can too. Those first few episodes are brutal because, as you said, you don't know what you're doing. Especially in my case, I'm just seeing what works, man. Throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks. And some of those, they're rough.
I couldn't talk on a podcast without some kind of alcoholic beverage inside of me. Like I would just freeze up. I was never a public speaker until I started the podcast, and it took me to our first like 20 or 30 shows to get comfortable talking. And now I can talk to anybody; it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I mean, and that goes with any show. If you find a show that you like, and then you go back and listen to their first, second episode, it's like, oh yeah, you weren't totally comfortable and confident with the format or the having your voice recorded. You know, there's definitely some like a learning curve there.
Yeah, and I think that definitely, even I'll speak for myself, I still want to get better. There's still things I want to improve on, even though, I've been doing this for 256 episodes. I still sit down and go, I could have done that better. I need to do this better. I need to fix this. I need to tweak that. And I do say that here in Columbus, we have a pretty good podcasting community where guys, are willing to help out. Like Jason and I, with our side project as well with our own main podcast, we know other guys.
Project? Oh, that's Matt Talk?
Yeah, it is Matt Talk. That is.
Nice. I've been hearing a lot about that today. It sounds like a big deal. I'm going to have to check it
out. Matt Talk started as a goof on the podcast.
It did. It started on this podcast as a goof.
We would go to cons, and it would piss Max, my co-host, off so much because we would ask people at the con, have you heard of Matlock? Because everybody would tell us that nobody under the age of 30 knows what Matlock is. So then John and I, as a joke, back in June, since COVID was starting, we'll start a Matlock podcast. Nobody's going to listen. And holy crap, were we wrong. People want to talk about Matlock.
Yes.
Yeah, man. The that genre of shows, the like after show, the episode, the like TV show rewatch kind of podcast, those are huge. Those are great. And finding this niche that's like, there's probably not a ton of Matlock podcasts out there, so it's a small niche. But everyone that wants a Matlock podcast has come to you. So, yeah.
Right. And we do generally enjoy the show. It's very nostalgic for us to sit down and watch the episodes and do a review. And I was with Jason too. When he first dropped some of those numbers, I'm like, wait, what? How many people listened? You stop. This is a joke, right? And so we're just keep rolling with it, man. We just keep rolling with it. So
great. Congratulations. I'm glad it's
thank you.
A success.
I wouldn't know. I told John to do Murder, She Wrote, Diagnosis Murder. I've never seen any of those shows, but hey.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can just keep this train going.
Yeah.
Just transition right into Diagnosis Murder.
Yeah, there you go.
Keep your grandmas away. Matt Talk's in town.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Remember that era of life when every like 60-plus-year-old lady was horny for Matlock?
Yeah.
And it was like the joke on every sitcom, and like everyone was always talking about how every middle-aged lady wants to bone the old lawyer.
That was a joke on Arrested Development too. They like hired Andy Griffith to be in a trailer on set as their lawyer, but he wouldn't come out of the trailer until he had something, and then he ended up walking away. But he was never actually on the show.
No.
Well, like let's 1,000. He'd wear his white suit, but.
Well, speaking of real quick of TV shows, let's go back before the break because Michael, I need to know about this this fantastic PBS show.
Today's special.
Yeah, today's special.
Let me tell you, if you can leave this up on the screen, I can tell you about all these characters.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So first of all, I'm pretty sure this is Canadian. I could be wrong about that, but it was definitely like always on TV here in Canada. I even saw them live once. I remember my parents took me when I was a kid. But this guy's so the guy on the left here he's Jeff or Greg. He's a mannequin, but when he's wearing that hat, he becomes a real boy. And the magic, but you have to say the magic word when you put his hat on, and I believe it was Hocus Pocus Alamogocus, and then he would become a real boy, and he could dance around and talk and be a real man. But then as soon as his hat falls off, he's a mannequin again. And it was like a department store that was after hours. And then this is Jody here on the right. She works there, and she's Jeff's friend. And the bottom is a mouse, because I guess this department store is infested by mouse. And the mouse's name is Muffy, and she always talks in rhyme. That's her thing. And then over here, that's the security guard, Sam Crenshaw. And he was always in like the security room, like with a bunch of TV cameras set up, but he would always just miss it. And he was always like trying to catch Jeff because he's a mannequin but he's a man, and he's walking around the store at night, but he'd always just miss it. And I believe that from my memory, that's how this show went down, and I loved it so much. This is like in the 80s, I think. Yeah,
wow.
I should check here. I want to get confirmation, but I'm pretty sure that show was Canadian.
Okay.
I'm surprised that it ended up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it was on PBS.
Oh, look at this! Many sequences were shot on Queen Street West and Yonge Street. I'm like, Queen Street West is like 10-minute walk from here, from where I'm standing right now. So it is definitely shot in Toronto. Yeah, cool. Look at that.
I never heard of that. So that's a new one.
Yeah, it was definitely a big one here.
Okay. Well, PBS was known for doing that, because I think wasn't the Red Green Show a Canadian show that they would they would rebroadcast? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that being on PBS. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting when I hear about stuff like that, like how Kevin Smith is like a huge Degrassi fan. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, I guess Degrassi made its way into America somehow. It's like very Canadian. But it's great. It was great. And all these things were just like staples for us.
Yeah, Degrassi was a better version of Saved by the Bell.
Oh, way better. Like Degrassi was like melodrama.
Quality for a television series. Saved by the Bell
like Degrassi was like not Saved by the Bell though. Like there were episodes about like, creepy. I'm trying to think of how to word this, but creepy people doing creepy things to children.
Yeah,
I think there's an episode. In the last episode, like someone died of AIDS and like stuff. Like it was like serious melodrama shit happening in that show. It was definitely not the like saccharine. Yeah. Like, oh no, how are we gonna win the wrestling competition this week, AC Slater? We're gonna need Mr. Belding to help us out. But
No, a better example would have been Beverly Hills 90210, I think.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah, it was just very strange. It was very strange because it did feel like a kid's show, and they're always at school. But then sometimes seriously heavy stuff would happen.
What are some Canadian television shows that we should check out?
We're gonna need.
In your opinion,
let me tell you. Have you heard of Schitt's Creek? Because it just won every Emmy, and it was a big deal for us because it's a Canadian show created by Canadians, written by Canadians, starring Canadians, and it's great. Yes. And it just won all the Emmys like it could have possibly won like last month or whatever. And so it was a big deal. And honestly, it's a great show, and the whole cast is amazing, and it's just so good. So if you haven't seen that, just definitely that's worth watching in a big
Okay.
way. Yeah. And then have you heard of Today's Special? You want to check that out?
What
Yeah,
about Corner Gas?
Corner Gas. So that's come your way too, Corner Gas. Yeah.
I'm familiar with it. I follow because I'm a hockey nerd. I know a little bit about your beloved country.
Yeah.
Corner Gas, Trailer Park Boys. I'm a big fan of Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, of course. Trailer Park Boys definitely made it down there. Do you know Kenny versus Spenny?
Corner Gas. What was that again?
Kenny versus Spenny.
No.
I know it made it to the U.S. to MTV. I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, is there an echo somehow?
I'm familiar with it.
Jason, what are you doing?
Sorry. We are off Facebook, so I was trying to fix that problem. I apologize. I don't know why that popped up, but we're still good on YouTube. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend Kenny versus Spenny. It was like, it's just a kind of a weird prank show where there's like two friends that live together, and they're just like, there'd just be an episode. Each episode would be like, who can eat the most meat or something like that, and then, or like who can do the biggest fart, and then it's just like the whole episode is them like trying to prepare and test their things. It's really funny Canadian show. I think Trey Parker and Matt Stone picked it up or something. Were involved for a season and brought it to MTV in the US. So I think it did kind of have a little bit of a life in the US, but it's great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, can I say one more great Canadian show, and then we can
Sure.
move right on? Because it's tied in with the latest podcast we just launched is a D&D podcast, a D&D actual play podcast with one of the co-hosts is a film composer, so he kind of scored their play of the adventure in like as if he was scoring a movie with like soundscapes and like big score, and it's really, really good. The production quality is really high, and it's like really fun to listen to. But he also was the co-star of my favorite Canadian show ever, which you need to watch it, but it's maybe hard to find. But there's a show called Nirvana the Band, the show. Do you know about that?
I've never heard of that.
No, it's so funny and so good, and I was so excited when he came to the network because I've been a big fan of that show for a long time, and it's very, very funny. If you ever catch it, Nirvana the Band, the show. Nirvana is spelled with 2 N's for copyright reasons, I assume.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, Michael, what are some of your favorite podcasts to listen to?
Oh yeah, it comes and goes. The one that I've stuck with the longest is Comedy Bang Bang, because I've just been listening since the beginning, and I still listen to this day. So definitely that's one. But if I'm saying like what's the best show, have you guys listened to Mystery Show?
I have not.
It's so good. It's like, unfortunately, I think it had 6 or 7 episodes. It was on Gimlet, and it had 6 or 7 episodes, and then I think it was really expensive to produce, and they were working on a second season, but it just kind of never happened. And it's one of those shows that everyone wishes there was more of, and it's just so simple. Like, just the host is like trying to solve little mysteries in life that you can't just like Google online, right? And things like one of them was like someone found this really elaborate belt buckle when they were a kid, and they always had it, and it was just like this really cool and elaborate thing, and it seemed like a keepsake that whoever lost it probably really wanted it, like was probably bummed that they lost it. And so there she was just like, well, trying to find the original owner and return the belt buckle to him after 30 years, things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And just like little things, and it's just the way it's put together and everything is just so satisfying and great to listen to. It's called Mystery Show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just Googled it. It's on my tab for when this is over to check out, because
yeah,
I like listening to podcasts. It's one of my favorite things to do. My favorite podcast, and I think so far one of the best ones I've ever listened to, was Serial, the first season.
Yeah.
It was, for the first time, a podcast became must listen to. I could not stop binging that short show, and at the end of it, nothing really happens. spot, that's super awesome. But just the whole story, the journey that she was able to take me on for that 10 episodes was just amazing.
Yeah, Serial 2. Yeah, it was great. If it's season 2, I loved Serial 2. It was like game changer, and it's what's kind of credited, and I think I agree with it, as like for kind of moving podcasting into like another level where like my parents were suddenly like, what's this podcasting thing? Even though I've been doing it for 10 years, they're finally like, I should listen to a podcast. And it's like, yeah, that's, it kind of changed the game a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. If you're asking me, go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I liked Serial season 3 a lot too, because what they did was they set up shop in a Cleveland courtroom, and they just told various stories from within the court and kind of showed how the courts work. And I thought that was absolutely fascinating. Serial season 2 felt to me rushed, like they were trying to push out a second season as fast as they could.
Yeah, it didn't. There was some. I mean, the problem was they created this formula of true crime, episodic, serialized podcast, and then everyone else started doing it too. And there's tons of other great ones. But instead of doing that again, they decided to do something totally different for season 2, and I feel like people just didn't quite connect with it. I'm sure it still did great. It's Serial, but they went away from the standard like true crime. Who did the murder? Let's talk about all the facts, to something a kind of a different type of story. And I think people just wanted true crime again.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why I like the 3. It took me back there. But John, what are some of yours?
Well, I kind of already mentioned them, but I do like Park After Dark, which is the Trailer Park Boys podcast, because it's pretty much just an episode of their show. So I do dig that. It makes me chuckle. The one that I really kind of would laugh out loud at, that brought me a lot of enjoyment, is My Dad Wrote a Porno.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
that one is fantastic. I'm can't wait for the next season. Although I think at this point now, there's a little bit of luster off of the podcast, because now the dad is just writing these for the next season. Where like season 1 and 2 and 3, you're like, oh, he wrote these so many years ago, and they're reading them. But now I'm feeling like, now that we've gotten to season 4 and 5, it's like, well, he's just pumping out bad ones so that people will have material. And
yeah, that's definitely
yeah. But I enjoyed that one tremendously.
When I listen to it, I enjoy like Kevin Smith's podcast, Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, and what's now I think it's called Fat Man Beyond. I like that podcast too. But I used to be a fan of Wondery, because I like the true crime stuff, and Wondery puts out some amazing podcast, a lot like Serial. I wouldn't say necessarily it's at the same quality, but it's not too far off. They're great.
Yeah, I just finished listening to they're doing a Dr. Death season 2 right now that I'm listening to, and Dr. Death was a great true crime, really, really good. Really,
I'm looking forward to
recommend.
the show.
Oh, are they doing a show?
Yeah, there's going to be a TV series. I watched the TV series on
Dirty John,
and I thought that was really well done too.
Yeah, it was good. Both seasons were good. Even the second season, I don't think was based on a podcast that I know of. But yeah. Have you guys seen? Have you guys listened to the Worst Idea of All Time podcast? I think it was called.
No.
Definitely recommend that one too. It's a few years old, but it's 2 kind of New Zealand comedians. They decided to just watch Grown Ups 2, the Adam Sandler movie Grown Ups 2, every week for a year. And then they did an episode. There's 52 episodes in the first season, and they just watched the same movie every week, and then they talk about it. And just seeing these 2 men slowly devolve into madness because they're having to watch it. And they come up with these wild theories that you could only come up with having watched the movie, like 35 times or something. Just like the idea of like, this character is never seen in daylight or whatever. Like, what does that mean? Things like that. It was really funny. And they did a bunch of seasons after that too, of different movies. I didn't keep listening, but the first season is definitely solid.
What show is this?
It's called the Worst Idea of All Time podcast, I believe, something along those lines. Yeah, really, really funny comedians. And really funny, and they're also comedians, so it's enjoyable to listen to, and they're funny guys.
And I will throw out Wondery. You mentioned them. I just started listening to Gladiator, which is like the Aaron Hernandez crime podcast, the football player. And it was really good. It was captivating. I just listened to episode 1. I haven't listened to the other because I think there's 6 episodes for that season. But I was real impressed with their production quality and whatnot with that.
Yeah, they're great.
When the Tiger King stuff started, I had already heard the story through Wondery.
Yeah, me too.
He's talking about it. I'm like, hey, this story sounds so familiar. And then it was the same guy. But Wondery also has this podcast called Blood Ties where they have Josh Gad and the lady from The Office from Community. Her name's blanking me right now. But it's
Yvette Nicole Brown?
No,
not that actress.
Gillian Jacobs?
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
It's acted. It's a radio drama. It's over like 8 episodes. They're on the 2nd season now. That was very captivating and very well written.
What's that called? Oh, Blood Ties. Yeah, I've seen that advertised. I've never heard it, but that's cool. I'll check that out.
Yeah, I recommend most of what they do.
Mm-hmm. So, Michael, where do you see like podcasting going in the future? If you can give us your 2 cents on that idea.
My prediction, as your local, your resident futurologist, podcast futurologist, Michael. Yeah, it's so. The one thing I've noticed is the big shift I've seen lately. The big one that we've all probably noticed is Spotify is making a huge move to be the podcasting people, especially with like, $150 million deal with Joe Rogan, and as behind the scenes, like, you can see that they're really trying to build a platform for podcasting. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because the way podcasting is now is like so decentralized, right? With like RSS feeds that are hosted all over the internet, and everyone's just jacking into your RSS feed. No, there's no one that's really like, hosting shows and being like, this is our show and you can only listen to it here. But Spotify is starting to do that, right? So that's going to be interesting. A few people have tried that and never really worked, but Spotify is the people to do it, right? And if you're listening to a show on Spotify streaming, then they can do all kinds of weird stuff. Like when you're listening to a show, if they cut to an ad break in a mid-roll, they also, because you're on your phone, whatever, say you're on your phone and you're walking down the street and they can know where you are, right? So then Spotify can be like, okay, time to serve up an ad. Okay, there's a, Taco Bell 2 blocks away from where this person is. Give them a Taco Bell ad,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're going to start seeing that. I think we kind of are already with Spotify, but yeah, I mean, I think we're going to kind of see these kind of targeted ads, and then you can only really do that if you're kind of hosted, and streaming, if the episodes are streaming like with service like Spotify or something like that. I think, yeah. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does. It certainly does. Yeah, I think that's got some good aspects to it, and I think it's got some bad aspects to it.
It's got some scary aspects and stuff,
yeah.
Privacy stuff, and I'm sure privacy. You can probably turn all this stuff off in the settings somewhere, but also, targeted ads. I mean, as creepy and weird as they are, I don't know. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes maybe I want to know that there's a Taco Bell nearby. Maybe I'm hungry. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely, there's a creep factor to it that I'm not going to deny. To be like, to get an ad for a Taco Bell and like you're standing right by one, there's got to be this moment of like, this is weird. Like they are in my brain right now.
Speaking of Taco Bell, today's podcast is brought to you by
Taco Bell presents its newest entree, as seen in the hit movie Showgirls. Nomi gobbled them up on screen, and now you can get.
The other guys aren't here, so I was allowed to play.
Come on! I can't believe you were pulling that out.
That Taco Bell logo, there's no crack in the Liberty Bell. What's up with that? I thought, doesn't the logo have a crack in it?
Probably.
I don't know. That was all you.
Fake news. That's not a real ad. Don't listen to it. Don't go to Taco Bell.
Well, they definitely did not sponsor Showgirls to Remake.
No. No, maybe we should explain to Michael what that's from, so he's not like, "What the hell?"
We have a game that we've really started that's been catching steam. It's called Remake Revolution. We've been bringing on celebrities, other podcasters, and they compete to pitch a remake of a movie. So we give them last week was The Wizard of Oz, but to make a horror remake. So each team would pitch their movie, 4 categories: actors, directors, the pitch, the marketing, and then the winner gets to brag. So when we did Showgirls, all of these guys turned into producers in Hollywood. They wrote out scripts, they produced ads. We've never had anybody go all out for the show, but for some reason Showgirls made all of these men work very, very hard to produce a movie.
Because we had to sit through Showgirls 1 and take notes. And yeah, I still hate myself for that.
Yeah, that was a rough movie. I remember when it came out because it was such a big deal because Jesse Spano.
Yeah, I was telling John that. It was passed around my middle school.
Oh, yeah. And she was going to reveal all of her niblets and everything. And yeah, it was very weird as a kid because that was she was on the kids show that we all grew up with, and then now she's in this sexy movie. But you know what? It was a career move, and I don't know that it worked out. But look at that, she's coming back. Saved by the Bell remake. She's there. Everyone's there. Dustin Diamond is not, I think, but
he's in jail.
What about Mr. Bell? He's in jail. Okay, yeah, he's definitely not there. What about Mr. Belding? Is he coming back?
He's got to. They got to work him in on a cameo. Yeah. He's got to be working for Zach in the governor's office.
Yeah, is that the plot? Zach's the governor of Sunnydale or something?
He is the governor of California.
He's the governor of.
He's been closing down the low-income schools. So his idea to make up for that is to integrate the low-income kids with the richer schools so that they can get a better education. And then that's where the plot comes in. The lower-income kids seem to be the people that are skeptics of Saved by the Bell in general because they keep pointing out the cheesiness of the school in the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's tongue-in-cheek a little bit. It's self-referential, and it's kind of, it's kind of which was really well done, I thought. The Cobra Kai. Did you guys watch that?
I did not.
If it's even a fraction as good as Cobra Kai is, I will take it.
It's not gonna be, but I think they're going for that vibe where it's probably a teen kids drama or teen kids show, whatever, melodrama, but it's gonna also be self-referential and kind of parodying those types of shows because the audience is probably not kids. How Fuller House is they did a little bit of that, but it's mostly they're just making a show for a new generation of kids. But this is, I think, going to be, it seems more like it's made for us who grew up with that and want to see, some reference stuff, some nostalgia. And also we can joke about it because obviously that was a really weird period and that type of programming was kind of silly and we laugh at it now.
The thing with Full House, I thought did a good job of bringing in adult humor for us, but Girl Meets World didn't even try to aim for the older generation.
I was just gonna say that.
They missed the mark.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they didn't. They were probably just going for 14-year-olds, and that's fine. But
I'm concerned that Saved by the Bell is going to try too hard to hit our generation than they should. But we'll see. Cobra Kai is a show that never should have worked. That show should have been horrible. It's never worked. It didn't make any sense, but those guys really, really did something special.
Absolutely. I heard about it back when it was a YouTube Red show, and I was like, "That's funny, but there's no I avoided it because I was like, it's not going to be good. It's it sounds silly." And finally, when it came to Netflix, I was like, "Well, now it's easier to access. I don't have to pay any extra to see it. I'll check it out." And one episode in, I was like, "Oh, I see what they're doing. This is amazing," and it was very good. Second season was good. I'm looking forward to the third season. They hit all the marks they needed to hit, and it was it seemed like it was going to be incredibly difficult to make that work, and they killed it, I thought.
Hi, Tina. Thank you so much.
Hi, Tina.
I completely agree. Just the whole premise. We're big fans of the show, and I watched it when it was on YouTube Red. I got the free trial, and I watched it. I'm like, this show is really good. Am I the only one who thinks that? Because, again, in my mind, I'm like, am I sure a Karate Kid show is working? And then the end of the year, I hear that it was the best reviewed show of that year. I'm like, holy shit, everybody else seems to feel exactly how I felt watching this show. And then when it went to Netflix, I'm like, yes, finally, more people are going to finally see this gem that's been hidden for 2 years because nobody wants to sign up for crappy YouTube Red that only has one show that anybody wants to watch.
Is that still a thing? YouTube Red? It is?
But like I think it's tied in with like if you subscribe, then I think you can watch regular YouTube videos without ads. I think, is that right?
Yeah, and
Ad
then
free?
and they got some like special, and I think it kind of ties into their YouTube TV as well. I don't know. It's complicated, YouTube's services.
Yeah. It's definitely too complicated, and like Netflix is easy. You know, as soon as it came to Netflix, suddenly everyone was talking about this show that's 3 years old or whatever, 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Tina says, nice to see Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
But no, I agree. So I guess back to our podcasting conversation. See, on our podcast, we go everywhere. We
Let's do it, man. Yeah.
We just like to explore all aspects. I wish you could have met the other guys because I set this up because I figured, all the guys are going to be available and Michael can meet them all. But, they all had something come up at the last
You're going to have me back then.
Dan just had.
There you go.
I'm not gonna. I'm just spoiler alert. I'm gonna be a big hit with your fans. They're gonna love me. They're gonna demand I come back. So
I think they're just confused because there's actually 3 people on screen. There's never.
Yeah, that's right. That's it.
We usually have a lot of swearing and yelling about how crap sucks for Max and me defending it because I tend to like most everything.
And Dan and I making bad jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the podcast conversation. Wondery does some really good things. I don't know if they're the ones who produced the Bill Cosby show or not, but there was a
Chasing Cosby.
Chasing Cosby that was really good.
It was really good. Yeah.
Last year, kind of goes through the trial and the past, and kind of what happened leading up to him finally, going to jail, and that was fascinating.
And if you had any kind of doubt about Cosby or whether, maybe he didn't do it and people are just saying it. I mean, if you listen to that, it will eliminate that completely. Like it's, he was guilty and he's in jail now and he deserves to be there, in my opinion and in reality.
Yeah, it is not okay to slip ladies medication.
Medication. I like how you tactfully put that there. It's not.
Yeah.
When it comes to me too, I also really do enjoy a good wrestling podcast as well. So there's several out there. The Laps Fan podcast is great. Those guys do when they do like an investigative series of episodes. There's no wrestling podcast that's better. They dig up everything that's public record.
Called?
It's called the Lapsed Fan Wrestling Podcast.
Elapsed.
Yeah, lapsed. Lapsed.
Lapsed. What's that a reference to? Lapsed.
They talk about how wrestling was better when they were kids. So like in the 90s and that, as opposed to the current
Attitude
product.
Era.
Yes. But yeah, they do some great investigative work. I also too, even though I get heat for this, I do like Jim Cornette's Drive Through. His podcasts are great, even though he is very much polarizing and whatnot. But I mean, I still enjoy it. I take it with a grain of salt, just like anybody else that gives an opinion, on any podcast. You go, okay, that's a good, interesting point. At least for me, I'm strong enough in my convictions. I'm not going to go, well, you know what? I'm going to change my mind. So, you take it with a grain of salt. I think with anybody that presents an opinion. Yeah. And so yeah, those are mine.
I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh until you made my chest hurt a lot.
What?
What did he punch you?
No. Some of his opinions upset me. I listened to it, John, because I'm one of those people that I like to be informed. And not that everything he says is truthful, but you always want to hear both sides, kind of hear what the people are saying or whatever. That's why.
Okay.
Back when I was younger, I was really into political stuff. So I would listen to him. I'd listen to Stern. I'd listen to, other people. I listen to 610 a lot, just because
Do
I
you guys
like
have any-
radio.
Do you guys have anything interesting going on in your political landscape right now? Haven't been keeping in touch with it.
With America political.
Yeah, anything going on?
We got an election going on, which people.
Oh, an
need-
election.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. Of course, the whole world knows what's going on. They're on. Everyone's on the heels of their feet, just wondering what's going to happen. So good luck, guys.
Thank you very much. You know, funny you mentioned that, Michael. Right before we went on the air, I was checking my email, and you know, I think this is the one thing that I do love about podcasting is that you meet so many interesting people, you become friendly with them and whatnot. I had a couple from England on my podcast in, I want to say either late May, early June, to talk about some of their projects. They're artists, and they have an art studio, and they have a bunch of different comic books that they're doing and whatnot. And they actually emailed me, and they have over the last couple months. They'll just email to see how I'm doing. Hey, how's it going? Is everything still going well with the podcast? And they actually just emailed me, and they were like, hey, we just want to check in, see how you're doing. Good luck this Tuesday. I'm like, yeah, thanks. Thanks. We'll try.
Oh, I just made this connection, but you guys are in Ohio, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, we work with a guy, I think in Ohio, and with a podcast called History Defeats Itself. I think he's out there in Ohio. I could be wrong, but we were working with him a lot, and yeah, he's basically saying like, let's see what happens Tuesday, and you know, if it doesn't go my way, then do you have space on your couch? He's looking to move to Canada. Yeah,
we have two guys on the street. One's Biden, one's Trump, and each one of them gets a bigger sign. So then the other guy gets a bigger sign, and then the other guy gets a bigger sign, and then the other guy gets a bigger sign. But on
like
top,
who's gonna see? Like someone's driving down the street and is like, I don't know who to vote for, but that guy's sign is bigger, so I guess I'm a Trump guy now.
But the Biden guy, he ended up making his own signs now. So he's got this big tarp that he puts in his front yard, and it's got his Trump facts on there. It's not happy Trump facts for anybody that's listening to us that's a Trump fan. You won't like his signs, but I love their little boards.
Wait a minute. So it's like in Clerks where they have the giant banner on. I'm sure you were open.
Yeah, I assure you, he's racist. Is that what the sign says?
There was one of those. There was one that said 200,000 people dead isn't a lot, ? Or, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's a good point. I'm not gonna take sides politically, but I'm Canadian, and you know, as the whole world looks on of what happens, as what's happening in your country, I will say that 250-ish thousand people is a lot to me.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How's COVID been up there for you guys in the last few weeks?
Last few weeks, not great.
Okay.
We were doing, especially in Canada, we got down pretty low, but then second wave, like I you know, looking at the U.S. is like, you know, you're not really seeing like a wave how we're seeing it. It's like kind of steadily high, you know, maybe a little bit of a peak, but like we were way down, you know, if you're like a parabola, you know, we were like down really close to like, you know, a couple cases every day or whatever, but it's gone way back up, or like around September. It's worse now than it was like in March and April. It's gone back up. I mean, it's nothing like, you know, in the US, like, you know, it's definitely a lot less here. I think people are a lot more, I think in general, culturally, I think people are maybe taking it more seriously here. But, you know, it still sucks. It's like, you know, we're still seeing all these cases and deaths and stuff. And it's just a terrible, horrible time in the world. So
Ohio dropped pretty low for a while, and then schools open. Schools opening is the one thing that should not have happened, because kids are germ carriers. That's all they do. They meet in a germ bubble and then they bring them home.
Yeah, it sucks, and it really sucks too, because like I have two little nephews, and my parents are, you know, in their late 60s, and it's like they want to see their grandchildren, and and they do like in a socially distant way now that since they've gone back to school. But it's like, but they want to hug their grandchildren and they can't, and it's the most heartbreaking thing in the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, eventually it's going to get better. I mean, hopefully, right? Right?
Yeah, I mean, it has to eventually, but
eventually.
I mean,
everybody dying is tragic, but COVID for me personally has been a treat because not COVID. I shouldn't say COVID has been a treat, but being home has been great because I have been able to focus more on the podcast. I don't mind being home by myself. I'm a nerd, so I can find ways to entertain myself. And it's helped my podcast personally because people are available right now. They're willing to talk. They want to chat with you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the kind of dialogue I'm like trying to be careful with my words because COVID is a nightmare and
it is.
Everyone's living in fear and I hate it. And when I go outside, I'm super conscious of it, and masks and everything. But there is an element of like, I'm getting a ton of work done. I'm just like, I'm at home. There's no commitments, and I'm just really able to like just hunker down and blast through some of this work.
Yeah,
and you're not the only one, Michael. I mean, throughout this whole entire thing, creative types have said that to me on my podcast. They've said, yeah, while it sucks, while it's horrible, while it's absolutely, appalling what is happening, the silver lining is that when you're at home, everybody I've talked to is more productive, that they get their work done, they're getting their things out there, so there is a silver lining, albeit, even though we have to go through all the other horrible things first.
Yeah.
There is that silver lining.
Yeah. And it is important to, I mean, we're not trying to say, oh, there's anyone who like has the take of like, oh, this is great. I love quarantine because now I get to work. That's a bad take in my opinion. But to find those silver linings and those little positive things in all this nightmare, I think is really the right way to look at it.
Yeah, how Michael said it. That's how I meant to say it.
Yeah, no, I know I wasn't. Just to be clear, I wasn't trying to like call you out. I was saying like I'm agreeing with you, but I'm just trying to be careful with my words because I don't want to like come off like I love this lockdown. Your millions of people are dead. It's not fun to think of it like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Michael, as we're getting close to the time limit here, where can folks find out about the Sonar Network and all the great shows that are on the network?
Oh, yeah. Go to the sonarnetwork.com. That's the Sonar Network, just all one word.com. There's lots of great shows there. Like I said, they're most, by and large, are comedic in some way, or at least have a certain levity to them. But there's a little bit of everything for anyone, depending on what you're looking for. We probably have something for you. So it's worth checking out. We got tons of great shows. Yeah. What kind of shows do you guys like? What's your favorite show?
TV show or podcast?
Podcast. Sorry, what's your favorite type of podcast?
I tend to nerdy or true crime.
I'm going wrestling.
Great, cool.
So,
yeah.
Do you have any social media for the Sonar Network as well to plug?
Yeah, sure. At the Sonar Network, everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Go there and like some stuff. Just give us a little like. Well, it doesn't cost you anything.
Just clicking a button, man.
Yeah, just click a button.
Hit likes on the video too. Send them all in.
Like here, like Three Geeks. Just like stuff. Share the love, man. The world's on fire. We just want to get that rush of endorphins of someone liked your post. Like, how good does that feel? You can do that to us. You can give us that feeling.
Speaking of the world being on fire, on Tuesday, Americans are going to throw gasoline on that fire, and you need something to counter program what is happening in this world, and that will happen on the Three Geeks podcast. We are going to lean as nerdy as we possibly can. We're going to do Election Day special. We've got the HNIC podcast joining us, and it's going to be a lot of fun to chat with them. And just, again, we're going to lean for the geek.
I'll be tuning in.
I can't say we won't get 100. I can't say 100% we won't get political, but I promise it won't be more than 0.001%.
That's great. Yeah, I'll be tuning in. I'm going to definitely need some distraction, and I think this is going to be literally the only place I can get it. So that's where I'm going to be.
You should join us.
Awesome.
After you should join us for the Election Day special. I think there's 3 so far. But anyway, thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. Check out the Sonar Network. Check out 3geeks.ninja. Lots of cool stuff happening there. You can find 3 Geek stuff, you can find Matt Talk, and you can find the PVD cast right there. John, promote yourself real quick.
Yeah, you can check out my podcast, the PVD cast. It's available over at pvdcast.com, the online home of yours truly, or wherever you find great podcasts like, Spotify or Stitcher Radio, et cetera, et cetera. Just search for PVD cast. Of course, every Monday at 8 o'clock, the live broadcast through the Facebook page of the PVD cast. I enjoy doing it. I interact with folks in the comments section. You can listen to the week's current installment, and just simply go to @PVDcast on Facebook. And don't forget, as we've talked about at the beginning of the show, Matt Talk. We got that going on as well. @Matt Talk Podcast is where you can find us on Facebook. Listen through any of those major outlets, or go over to anchor.fm/Matt Talk.
And check out the interview we did with
Linda Pearl
on Matt Talk. It's also on the PVD Cast Facebook page and on the 3 Geeks Facebook page. Linda Pearl was an absolute treat and delight. Love talking to her. If anybody out there knows how to get in touch with Keen Holiday, please hit me up at sammatttalk@gmail.com. I would love to talk to you, because he is the one I am trying to get in touch with. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have.
I know, but I still just find it funny that you're issuing challenges to the listeners. Bring me Keen Holiday's contact info now. Just, it sounds very villainous of you.
Well, anyway, from all 3 of us, you guys have a great day. Recycle your droid.